Good morning, welcome to CATEX-TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. This is a live broadcast from Princeton, New Jersey. Today is Tuesday, April 27, 2010. It's 11:30 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time in the U.S. It's 4:30 p.m. in London. In Mexico City, it's 10:30 a.m. If you need to reach us during the broadcast, you can phone in toll-free at 1-866-67-CATEX. Overseas, our AOL Instant Mail address is CATEX-TV. Well, today is Goldman Sachs Day. If you're anywhere near a television and have access to the U.S. cable TV stations, turn them on. You'll see Senator Levin from Michigan sitting there with his glasses perched on the end of his nose, going through a laboriously detailed series of questions of the various Goldman executives. The stock market doesn't like it. It's down 122 points already. We'll talk about Goldman in a minute. There's some other news that came in. U.S. home prices in February rose from a year earlier for the first time in more than 3 years. This is according to S&P's Case-Shiller. Also, the U.S. Conference Board Consumer Optimism Index is up all the way to about 57%. This is the consumer confidence number. This is the highest reading since September of 2008. And we all know what happened in October of 2008. That was Lehman Brothers. Now we'll go to our news. The news is Goldman all the time. All news, all Goldman all the time. Here's Lloyd Blankfein. He is going to be testifying in about 90 minutes, I understand, right after lunch. And the Senate committee is saying that Goldman executives misled investors in complex mortgage securities that turned bad. They point to a trove of some 2 million emails and other Goldman documents that the Senate's obtained an 18-month investigation. And Blankfein is saying in his prepared testimony that was released this morning that Goldman did not bet against clients and it cannot survive without their trust. Also appearing today is Fabrice Touré. I believe he's on right now, actually. A Goldman trading executive who federal regulators say marketed an investment designed to lose value. Touré, who famously called himself in a January 2007 email the fabulous Fab, standing in the middle of all these complex exotic trades he created, is going to be on the hot seat. The SEC this month filed a civil fraud case against Goldman, saying it misled investors about securities tied to home loans. Goldman disputes the charges and says it will contest them at court. At the hearing, Blankfein will repeat the company's assertion that it lost $1.2 billion in the mortgage meltdown. He'll also argue that Goldman was not making an aggressive negative bet or a short on the mortgage market's meltdown. However, Carl Levin, the chairman from Michigan, said Monday, "I think they're misleading the country. There's no doubt they made huge money betting against the mortgage market." Well, the oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico that's spilling about 42,000 gallons a day is now the size of the state of Rhode Island. Here's a small piece of it. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, they're going to be able to tell 72 hours in advance if and when it's going to hit land. As of right now, wind and currents are not expected to move it toward land until Thursday at the earliest. The spill, of course, is coming from the Transoceanic's Deepwater Horizon that sank on Thursday after catching fire on Tuesday. British Petroleum had contracted the Transocean rig. They're attempting to stop the well's flow by installing a blowout preventer. We discussed this yesterday, which is a 450-ton device that must be installed using remotely operated vehicles. Now, it has to be installed a mile below the surface of the water. That's the depth of the water there. 2 oil rigs are also being moved into the area to drill a relief well that would cut off the flow of oil to the partially completed well. The first rig is going to arrive tonight. Finally, British Petroleum is also designing a dome-like device. This is like Stephen King's book, The Dome, his new book, designing a dome-like device to place over the well that can then funnel leaking oil up to a production vessel at the surface. This containment system, however, has not been used in waters as deep as where the Deepwater Horizon sank. Well, it looks as if the claim will in fact trickle into Lloyd's. UK managing agency Argenta said that the sinking of the rig is the worst Gulf of Mexico oil disaster in 20 years And, quote, it's expected this will produce a sizable loss to the insurance industry, including some losses to Lloyd's syndicates. Argenta said that it was likely to be some time before accurate estimates of loss were available. I don't know why that will be. The rig is a total loss. It should take a little bit faster than that to figure out who's on it. Argenta said that it had been led to understand that a number of energy companies besides British Petroleum had an interest in the platform with a range of different coverages bought. Some sources are quoting Guy Carpenter saying that Transocean had a standard deduction of $125 million per occurrence in hull and machinery, subject to an aggregate deductible of $250 million. The company's, Transocean's, filings showed a $5 million deductible on third-party non-crew claims and a $10 million deductible on crew injury liability. Transocean's based in Zug, Switzerland. They confirmed again this morning that the total insured value of the rig was $560 million. Of the 126 crew on board, 79 were employed by Transocean, 6 by BP, and 41 were contract workers. Well, this morning, check this out. Bring this graphic up, please. Look at the bright red. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is over the line. That's in the United States of America. Bright red is a 4.9 earthquake that jolted Southern California earlier today. There were no immediate reports of damage or injuries. It occurred at 10:55 a.m. Greenwich Mean Time. It was about 12 miles southwest of Sealy, California, about 70 miles east of Tijuana, Mexico. There hasn't been any play on this, so we assume that there truly was no damage whatsoever. The storms that went through the U.S. Over the weekend, the tornadoes, according to Applied Insurance Research up in Boston, destroyed more than 1,000 homes. Meteorologists have now determined that dozens of separate tornadoes sliced through the area. This is mainly Mississippi, killing at least 10 people. The worst of the storms, the twisters, was said to be the Force 4 tornado that cut through Yazoo County in Mississippi. That had winds of up to 200 miles per hour, and it had a track 1.25 miles wide. According to the principal scientist at AIR, tornadic winds passed over the roof act like air moving over an airplane wing. They create uplift, which tends to raise the roof vertically. Winds are then able to enter, pressurizing the structure and blowing out windows, and with them the contents. Haley Barbour, the Mississippi governor, has declared a state of emergency in the area. 10,000 people are still without power. Stock market's still down about 122 points. We'll go to a word from our sponsors. Our friends up in Stamford at WR Berkeley had a good quarter. They swung to a first quarter profit. The specialty insurer has shed the investment losses that hit it last year. The company focuses on niche property and casualty markets. It insures clients like the NFL, New York Cooperative Apartment Buildings, and tanning salons. Because it doesn't offer personal lines like auto and homeowners, it has a low exposure to cat losses. Their net written premiums dipped about 4%. Its international segment actually was the only one to post growth in NWP, going up 9%. Bill Berkeley, the chairman and CEO yesterday, said that insurance rates remained generally flat, but that the company was able to increase prices selectively. The firm swung to a $5.9 million net investment gain. This is compared to about $97 million in losses last year. Berkeley posted a profit of $119 million, or 74 cents a share, compared with a year earlier loss of $20 million, or 13 cents a share. So they really, they had about $140 million swing. Good for them. Well, the drumbeat on airplane and airline losses